Okay, we ready to go? All right, welcome back, everybody, to our briefing of Mason County Commission, April 29th. We're going to move on to the auditor, Mr. Steve Duenkel. Are you available? There he is. Welcome, auditor.
Here I am. Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Hey, thank you for the time today. I wanted to formally present to the Board of County Commissioners our updated and recently adopted and published administrative rules for the local voters pamphlet. And so per RCW 29A.32.230, we have an obligation to provide you with a copy of that. So I don't know if you had a chance to read it. It's absolutely riveting reading, or if you have any questions or want me to walk you through it, or if you're good with what has been provided and presented.
I did mine in the training. So commissioners, do you have any questions? Are you comfortable with it as it is, or?
No, it looks good to me.
Yeah, no issues.
Okay.
And
for the general public and interested candidates, it's out on the auditor's election website. And again, if you have any questions, give me a call. We are at your service. Thank you very much.
All right. Any last questions for our auditor?
Me.
Have a nice day. Thanks, Steve. Next up, we're going to go ahead and move right into community development. Kell, Rowen.
Oh, morning.
Morning.
All right. This was brief last week, but I'm bringing it back just for some clarification. It's a rezone application. An individual has requested a rezone. Currently, it is a single parcel, and the rezone request is to rezone a portion of the westerly piece and a portion of the easterly piece pursuant to a boundary line adjustment. We do expect that the boundary line adjustment will be completed prior to the public hearing, and so the ordinance that the commission would be adopting would have the correct and new parcel numbers associated with that boundary line adjustment, and then the zoning would match with the parcels. And so this briefing is to answer any questions about that and then ask to set it on the action agenda to set the public hearing. Now I believe it's June 4th. Yes, for a public hearing for June 4th.
Okay, now that makes sense to me. It did not make sense to me to rezone without it being already subdivided and stuff like that. In all the years that I was there, I'd never seen nothing like that. But if you're telling me it'll already be done, and if not, we'll just postpone until it is done, then we would actually have all the descriptions, the land descriptions, everything else like that already in place.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that. Commissioners Schutte and Trask?
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with that too. Mark and I talked about it and trying to figure things out and make sure that we're doing it in the proper order. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, all good with me.
All right.
All right, great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Do you have anything for Kell, anybody?
A big thank you.
Yeah. Kell, thank you for coming into the office to speak with our client, our customer. It was very much appreciated, and the idea that you are customer service, that always makes me proud. I appreciate that.
Yep, no problem. Thanks.
All right. Next up, we have community development. Nope, I have public health, David Windom.
Yeah. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
So just one item today. What we're looking at is a moving of funds for the Shelton Family Center from some funds that they may not be able to spend out by July 1st into community outreach, which they feel they can more appropriately use those funds and reach out to their clientele.
Questions, commissioners?
Nope, not for me.
No questions for me. They're doing such a great job. I couldn't be more happy with how they're progressing and how they're reaching out. So I think they're doing a great job. So thanks for helping them.
Yep. So you're asking for this to be put on that agenda though for formal action, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm supportive.
Okay, that's all I've got.
Anybody have anything for Dave?
Just quick thanks to Dave and Mark. We had a meeting last week with Chief Bakken talking a little bit more about expanding their mobile integrated health program. I think Commissioner Netherland, you've had some of those conversations, and it sounds like they're going to be submitting a proposal to the county along those lines to help support their expansion with some of the opioid settlement dollars. And so thinking about that as that hopefully comes up here in the next few weeks, but also think if Dave, maybe next week or in the next couple of weeks, you could bring us just a kind of a financial snapshot of where the account balance is on the opioid settlement funds after we signed and submitted the documents last week for the latest round of settlement funds. I think we'll have some capacity to probably support Chief Bakken's proposal, as well as grant out some additional funds kind of on a one-time basis based on that latest settlement. So it's really sad that we have to be in this position to fund programs like this, and it's not ideal how we receive the money because of all the damage that opioids have caused in our communities. But we do have an opportunity, I think, to do some really good work here over the next several years with this funding. And so hopefully we can take some action to put it to use in the community and help support good programs and projects.
Commissioner, I can't think of a better project to spend that money on. I do want to say, though, I do expect that they will get their billing and everything else set up so that they can stand on their own 2 feet. But I also want to let you know that while I was at that meeting at 4, they were talking about doing the same thing. So it'd be nice if we make sure to get all of them together for their initial ask for startup and see what we have.
Yeah, so that's what this is. So South Mason Fire, Chief Rudolph was also at that meeting. And I think the way that he and Chief Bakken are thinking about it is essentially South Mason would contract with North Mason for the program to avoid some of the pitfalls that North Mason has learned about in starting the program up. And so I think part of the ask is going to be startup funding, kind of one-time funding, but there's also the billing component that Chief Rudolph won't have to deal with that Bo has, that they've already worked through, so that they're able to get credentialed with the insurance companies and all that 9 yards. So I think I think it'll be a joint task, but I think it will look like an expansion of the North Mason program for those purposes.
Yeah. And I did meet with Bo and Chief on Friday at the Northwest Mobile Clinic Conference up in Tukwila, and I spent all day with them at and comparing how we would do this in the same way and different ways than other groups across the Northwest have done mobile outreach.
Any other questions for Dave Windom? Hearing none. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, we're whipping through this 2 minutes early. Public Works, Loretta Swanson, Utilities and Waste Management also. Hi, Loretta.
Well, you got a voice change, Loretta.
Oh, doggone it. Check you out. I have some comments, but I'm not gonna say them. I'm gonna keep my company to myself. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, Loretta's on vacation this week, much needed.
That's right. Good for her.
I've got 3 items for you. One is solid waste. We're gonna request an additional FTE. This is much needed. We've got 4 full-time people out there, and 7-day-a-week operation. It doesn't take but for one person to be gone to put us in a bad spot.
What does that pay?
For a year, a fully loaded, it's about $84,000.
How much is that an hour? Do you know?
I think it's like $26, $27 an hour.
Okay, so at 84K, you're looking at probably a third of that is you're putting in the benefits and stuff into that number then? Okay. That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah, we're trying to this is really, the proof's in the pudding, the proof's in the overtime, really. It's, we've gone from 22,003 in 22, 28,000 last year, and we're on track to spend about 26.5 in overtime this year. So that's what I mean. It's hardly avoidable. That, and I just don't like having Kevin in a position where he's got to go out and fill in. It can't be called an emergency too many times.
Yeah.
Plus, we're bringing in, like, in the last 4 years, we average about 8,000 more tons a year than we did 4 years ago.
And it's within the money you have it.
It is, yes.
I was just going to answer your question, Commissioner. It's $24.49, and then top range is $28.37 for the hourly rate for the operator.
37. Okay. Is there a career path, Richard, for anybody that takes these positions?
You know, it's not like the operators out in the treatment plant. No, it's either we got solid waste attendant or solid waste operator. I guess there is somewhat because that's how Kevin got to be where he's at, solid waste manager.
So make sure we'll get that out. All
Do
right.
the operators, do our operators require a CDL?
Yes.
So then, I mean, a career path could be going over to the roadside too, then
That's
potentially.
true.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, because we have that roll off. So that's another function that they do. We've been able to take care of in its entirety, Hood Sport and Union, just because you got us that new roll off last year. So that hasn't been an issue.
What else you got for us?
Well, then I got, hopefully, Lovejoy Schaefer has a couple of items. One's a hearing examiner recommendation for a road vacation.
So first, can I ask, Richard, are you asking us to approve this position?
Yes, we'd like to actually have that put on next week's action agenda, or the soonest action agenda I can get it on.
Well, I like it. I think it's a good idea.
So you're okay with it?
Mhm.
Commissioner Shooty?
Yeah, I'm as well.
Awesome.
And you want this put on the next
7th.
agenda? Yeah.
May 7th.
Excuse me
That
for a
works for you,
second.
Commissioner?
I'm not seeing Lovejoy.
All right.
And I don't have.
Right there, there's a face that pops in.
Hey.
Hi, what do you have for a road vacation? You are muted.
Sorry, that better?
Yep, much.
I have a road vacation number 415. Went to the hearing examiner. The hearing examiner's determination is back. In the process of us waiting for the hearing examiner's examination or determination, excuse me, Lakeland Village Community Club has decided not to participate in their half of East Island Place. So it would be just moving forward with the Huberts to vacate only the west half of East Island Place.
How would that work? If you with a half a vacated road?
Well, we would still have the other existing as an actual right of way, but yet it's not opened. As it sits now, the whole thing is not open. It's all
Yeah.
trees.
But I just mean, do we have other areas where we've only half vacated?
Yeah.
I just don't know
Yeah.
of it. I've been thinking over the years, I don't remember a half vacation.
Well, I think a lot of the previous ones were done on the plats that were vacated by operation of law, where like the neighbor didn't apply at the same time as the guy across the street. So yeah, we've done halves before.
Yeah, but those we don't do the vacated by law. We just don't argue with them because
Right,
it's already been
because-
vacated by law.
Correct.
I don't know. I don't mind putting this on. Would you mind looking a little bit further into that though? Because it seems odd to vacate half of a right of way. We still keep the liability on half, and I don't know. It just seems. Now this is
Well-
probably because we started charging now for these, where before we probably would have just given it to them. But can
That
you
was-
look at that and see what that looks like, and if there's any risk, maybe ask Tim to see if there's a risk that comes with this.
That was the major reason that Lakeland Village opted out, is because they had some conflicting opinions within their association of who was going to pay for the half of it, and they didn't want to come up with the money. So they originally did petition, but
Okay.
their members had changed their mind.
So yeah, if you just, before we vote on it, if you wouldn't mind just looking into that to be able to provide a few more answers.
I could do that.
Okay, are you guys, commissioners, where are you at on this? Do you want to wait until we see the information, or you just want to go, or what are you thinking?
Well, I think we can go ahead and put it on the agenda and then get more information when we have the hearing, because it has to have a hearing, right?
It already,
I think it's just action agenda.
Yeah,
It's just action, okay.
yeah.
And they've already paid the 50, what was it, 50 something? 52,
The,
almost 5,300.
yes, the Huberts have, yes. For their half.
But
Yeah,
that's if we vacated. They can't have paid before we.
right. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Commissioner Shooty, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm okay moving it to the agenda, but if we can get some additional feedback next Monday, I think that would be helpful. Just
Okay.
on the opinion of things, just so we know what we're doing.
So that's what we're agreed on. Go ahead, bring it back to us Monday for further discussion with the information, please.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
anybody have anything else for her? Any questions for her on that? All right, thank you. What else you got?
Got one more item for Lovejoy. It's an intention to create a road improvement district.
Now, we just had that meeting with our finance committee, and they're still trying to figure out how to do that. Has something changed where we know how to do the funding yet?
I can.
I, I thought basically that it was to be done by bonds, but I hadn't heard anything
Yeah, we ran into a
else from
situation.
Lisa yet.
The size of the bond may create a problem where we may not be able to do it, and because that has to be done over 10 years. So we talked about doing internal, but they were looking further into how to do that. I, for one, want to get this thing done because this is the beginning of how we do the others. And now Mike's not on here, is he? Is Mike on here? I don't see him. Because we talked during that meeting about looking at putting them together, perhaps with the RID for Razor Road, Alderwood area for a larger bonding ability.
Right.
But we don't know what that looks like either. I don't know, commissioners, what are you thinking? What do you want to just hold off for a week or two until we figure out more? Or I don't know that we're ready to do anything according to Lisa.
Yeah, I think it would be good to come back and talk about this next week when maybe when Mike and Loretta are back, just so we and maybe have Lisa join us as well.
Yeah.
So that everybody gets the same information. I know that I don't know how many people tune into finance committee. I don't want to be presumptuous there, but I think it would be good to come back with this, next Monday. And then I think the effect on that would just be, it might push out the date by a week, for their petitions in the hearing and stuff like that. So I don't think that's a huge issue, but I'd rather us all be on kind of the same page with the financing part of it. And the community, so the community knows too. I mean, it's not just us. I mean, they should know what the options look like or don't look like, as the case may be, based on what Lisa was saying.
I don't even mind us funding it, but we definitely need to find a way to get that money back. And if they won't let us do 10 years, but I know there's times where they have, so I don't know if it's special exceptions or what we can do. Commissioner Trask, what are your feelings?
Yeah, no, I think we definitely need to bring Lisa into the conversation.
Yeah.
And so if we can bring it back next Monday, that would be great.
So it sounds like we're asking you to table it for a week and bring it back to us next Monday with Michael and Loretta also here.
Okay.
And also ask Lisa Frazier to join us. Mark, you can do that one, right?
Yes, we can.
Are we on the same page on that, Public Works?
Yep.
Okay.
We
All
can do
right.
that.
Do you have anything else for us?
Just some upcoming items. Drinking Water Week, of course, is next week, 5/5 through 5/11. Then May 7th, there's a public hearing on road standards, chapters 10, 12, and 14, and adopting public works fee schedule. Then the week 5/19 through 5/25 is Public Works Week. And we're going to bring in Drinking Water Week into that week and just do it all that way. And then, of course, 5/23 during that week, we're going to do the Public Works Truck event from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Walmart Super Center, northwest corner of 7th and Railroad Avenue, and also the Belfair QFC. And lastly, to be determined, Belfair Pump Station ribbon cutting. That's all I got.
All right, I gotta remember to call Rod on that. Commissioners, do you have anything for Public Works?
Well, yeah, I mean, more so, I think maybe for the commissioners, just I wanted to see if there was any additional discussion based on last week's great hearing that we continued to next Tuesday, and just see if there was any conversation we wanted to have today, or if we just wanted to wait until next Monday.
Actually, I would like to throw a few things out there. I'd like to see more uniformity all the way, just giving my 2 cents, and I've been the one who've been each and every one of these. I'd like to see more uniformity amongst them all. We're at a position now with this affordability rate where we might be able to do stuff like that to actually pull it together. This way, whatever we set kind of becomes the norm for everybody. If we did that, I know that I actually had some that said the minimum of that amount plus a little tiny bit more. So if 110 is the minimum, is the affordability rate, which would be an increase for Belfair and the like. I love the idea that they have separate numbers for the business, because that's the one that gets killed on these when they have 31 of them or 33, because the gallons are so small. So I liked that coming in. I'd like to see us go along with something closer to that rate, and adjust everybody, adjust Lakeland down, adjust Belfair up, and as for the waters, a little bit closer to being with each other as well. I like the idea, which we didn't see an actual description. I'd love to see it in the future of what that would look like at 400 gallons, and then do it at a slightly, maybe the same rate it is now plus 5% or something, but then have the tiered rate, because I think we need to get them closer to those that want to use the water and a higher level of water usage, paying a little bit more to get us closer to eating up some of that 80,000 we spend every year.
Noted.
Well, no, that's just my opinion, because Commissioner Schutte asked. Commissioner Schutte, what do you got?
No, I was thinking more along the lines of, do we think we'll be ready to make a decision on the 7th? And, do we have enough? If there was, I think what you brought up is good. I mean, if there's any additional information that we feel like we would need in order to be able to make that decision, so that we could talk about it next Monday ahead of the hearing, so we don't have to continue it again.
I love that. So I guess what I'd love to see is what it would look like at the affordability rate on the sewers all the way around. What kind of impact that would be, with adding another maybe $2 to it. I would love to see, because I know they did the work, I just never saw it, the 400 gallon as a base rate, but with a higher number and a much higher jump between them to get us where the numbers need to be. If somebody's going to use 1,200 gallons of water, they should be paying for it compared to everybody else that's using 4 to 7. So let's let them pay for it and start to eat up some of that 80,000 a year that we're using. It'll be their choice. I don't really want to raise the rates high on them. Those that are lower, but if those want to choose more, I think they should pay more.
So we went through quite a few different scenarios last week, the team, and Stephanie's been crunching a lot of numbers and throwing a lot of stuff out there. So I think we have some of the things that you've talked a little bit about, Randy, but I think that the affordability across the board, I'm assuming you're only talking sewer.
Yes. I'm talking on the sewer ones to make them more uniform all the way around. The number that I'm seeing is going to make some people unhappy. I'm just throwing it out there, because some of them are worse shaped than others. So doing the affordability rate of 110, that's an increase in Belfair and stuff like that, but they need those dollars for their reserve. Doing the 110 in Russellwood is the same reason. But again, I don't mind seeing the $2 more on top of that, because that's what they even said to us. They understood that there's something that has to happen. With that, I think this is the part that's going to be really controversial, is I think that North Bay, which has always just taken the brunt of all those increases all those years without purpose or reason that put them way out of touch, I think we need to bring them down closer to where everybody else is. And if we had uniformity around there, I'd be happy with that. If I saw 112 and change across the board for everybody, I sure wouldn't be sad.
What about water?
The water, I'd like to see it broke down with the 400 gallon, because I haven't seen what those numbers look like. But for example, I'm going to use Russellwood as an example. Currently, they're paying $44 a month. I would love to see the 400 gallons. Start at, we'll say 50 a month. And then, maybe $10 or so for every 100 afterwards. The $1 and $2 doesn't make sense to me, but $10 for every one afterwards. So now if you're going to use 700 gallons, it might be $70. If you're going to use, a little bit more, it's $10 for each one.
We kind of left it, we had a pretty healthy discussion around this stuff. Going from 700 to 400 or maybe something in between.
Yeah.
And the in-between part was kind of where we landed, because going all the way down to 400 really hampers our ability to lower it in the future. So let's see how this works. And if we, let's say, from 7 to 400 was a pretty big drop. And so we were thinking about, what if we went in the middle of that somewhere, so that then we still have the ability. And what I mean by the ability is to maintain a lower base rate for individuals. So if we kept it, let's say you keep the rate, let's say you're at 500 or 550, and then you want to keep the base rate at the same, but you want to reduce the 400, go from 550 down to 400. You can do that and keeping those dollars the same, so it's not a change in the bill for those individuals that are using less than 400.
Yeah,
but it does. We're concerned about dropping all the way down to 400 right off the bat.
No, and I get that. I base that off of what PUD already does, number one. Number two, on the phone conversation where I think it was Loretta or Richard that said literally a third of them are already using 400 or less. And with that being a full third, that's a good amount. The majority is all doing under 7. So just separating the baby. If we did 5, that's fine too. But the starting rate should be about 50 on the starting rate. But then we want to start low enough to where it actually has an impact when they're really using water. If they want to wash their car 5 times a week, and they want to actually have a swimming pool during the summer, it has an impact on everybody else. And I get it. It just I just think there's a fairness issue regarding that. But if we started at the $50, that keeps it low enough to where it's not a great impact to those that decide they want to conserve and not spend the money. It'll be up to them at that point.
So the team's got a bunch of information they're going to present to you on the 7th, and a lot of it is changes in some of our current code, and kind of trying to really define what we're trying to accomplish with some of these rates and how we move into the future. So obviously you want to maintain somewhat of an operating reserve to cover some of the just increases in cost you see on an annual basis. And then it'd be nice to also have a capital reserve for those larger dollar value items that we see coming down in the future. Based on the premise that we're always going to look for supplemental funds that can come in and help us do that. And we would use those capital reserves as match money to help magnify the dollars that we would have available to do this work. So I think we look at all of the utilities from that lens, but definitely have some discussion to talk to you guys about, and we can show you what those numbers look like, Commissioner. The difficulty is that if we're trying to cover our cost of operations without continuing to supplement, then that makes a pretty big difference.
And I'm not saying that not continue to supplement. What I'm saying is what you just described is what we were already supposed to have been doing the whole time through. I'd like to have something, as what Commissioner Schutte was talking about. I'd rather know on Tuesday that we have enough information and some ideas of what they look like to make some decisions. If not, then we need to put it off. But I would love to make the decisions. And right now, to be honest with you, the recommendations that came from staff, like on Russell, would change nothing. So it makes sense to be a recommendation from staff when we're looking. Then why did we do all this? Why did we look at what it takes if we weren't going to do anything different? We already knew we were running backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time to, I thought when the commission did this, time to move forward with doing something about it a little bit at a time. I can understand not all of it, but
yeah, that's what we got to figure out. Is right. Is that what are those incremental? What does that incremental increase look like over the next few years, so that we can, number one, let our constituents in those service areas know, and number two, be working towards being somewhat self-sustaining if possible.
well,
It's hard with only
some rate options together for us to look over and make decisions on, because these other ones.
Yep.
Commissioner Trask, do you have any comments?
I would love to be fully prepared for the hearing. Um,
So we
So-
will get you, I think Stephanie has a lot of that stuff done, Richard, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She was showing it to the
Yes, she
team.
does. Yes, she has a ton of this already done. And like I said, I took some notes and we're all going in, we're gonna talk and we'll get back.
I think ideally this would all be part of our packet this week.
Yep.
Correct. Oh, yeah.
And ideally we would talk, I think ideally we would talk about it on Monday.
Yep.
Not do another lengthy presentation with Q&A during Tuesday. I think it was okay. It's just I don't think that's necessarily the best venue to walk through detailed information like that. And so I want to see everything loaded up this week so that we can have these conversations on Monday and be clear with the public what we're making decisions on Tuesday. I think that's the best path forward.
Right, so you'd actually have to have everything to McKinsey by Wednesday.
Yep.
noon.
Oh, yeah. By the 1st, yeah.
That's
That we will have done, and then we can brief it on Monday. I would like to, I think a lot of that detailed discussion, Commissioner Schutte, is stuff that I'd love for those individuals to be able to hear and see. So maybe, I don't know how we can get information out to those folks to let them know that we'd be briefing the board on Monday and then having the hearing on Tuesday. But let's try and do that, Richard.
Well, I think, Mark, I appreciate that point. I think what I'm saying is, like, let's narrow the focus and provide the detail that we need to provide. So if there are things that we're not interested in pursuing as an option, let's weed that out on Monday.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that you all, you don't need to give us the entire universe of data and decision points. If we can narrow that down for you, you can then make a good presentation about what we're interested in moving forward with. And then the public would have the detail that they would need at the hearing, and then they can comment or not comment or whatever. But I think we need to, as a commission, we need to narrow your focus down so that you know that you're working on the things that we want to implement or what to consider implementing.
And I think we did that. I think we're ready for that because we did the outreach. We've done the public hearing. That was another type of outreach. All that information. Now we need to actually dial it down to what are the options, what we're going to do. The ones that are realistic to do.
Yep.
Not the ones that, the extreme. We know we're not going to do $185 on the water. We just know that. So let's not even talk about that one anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be talking about 44 plus $1 and $2. For the Russellwood, we're running 80,000 backwards. We have to talk about making up some of it. Personally, I think Russellwood has been overpaying for all these years. It's nice to have that cushion, but come on. At some point, let's acknowledge that they were overcharged compared to everybody else, and we'll spend as much money as we have in the bank. So let's be realistic and bring them closer to what reality is. Belfair has been getting the best of it all for all these years for the system, but now they're up to 100. When we met in Belfair, up there in Belfair, Commissioner Schutte, you were there, even the ones that were really angry understood that reality is probably closer to 110 with $1 or $2 on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard when I was there, especially from the folks that are angry. Did you hear the same thing, Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think they were angry about the monthly rate. I think there was, I think there's still some residual, anger or disappointment or whatever from 10, 12 years ago when, initially this was coming through Belfair. And I totally get that. I understand that. But, unfortunately, that's not what we're making decisions on. We're just trying to do rate setting. And so, I think we can handle that. The other thing I think that we need to be clear about is the kind of the mechanism for setting connection fees and how to address that. I think we had a lot of comments about that and how does that factor into our monthly rate and how do you consider new development or new connections versus what we've been paying into for X number of years. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to continue educating our utility customers on how we go about managing the utilities that goes beyond just the basic utility setting that we have to do here. So I think there's a lot of stuff for you all to kind of keep notes on and think about how do we communicate regularly with our utility customers about the work we're doing, how we go about securing outside funding for these projects. And, I think an annual report, that was something that was mentioned at the hearing last week. I think figuring out how to do an annual report to each of our utilities is another great way to show progress and to talk about expectations and, even educate on how to like appropriately use the system and all those kinds of things. So, I think it's just about separating out the decisions at hand versus the bigger picture. How do we continue to engage with our customers? Because I think there's this set of really good sort of starting point for that going forward.
I wanted to throw one more thing out there that was brought up in these. I just don't exactly know how, and I don't see it as the perfection. And that is, adequately sizing the cost instead of everything being uniform, everybody paying the same amount. We don't have control of the water system, so we don't know how many gallons go into a lot of these places. So to be able to do it that way, I don't see that as being realistic. So there's a possibility of doing it for a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. But then again, I want to say I know of one on the North Shore that's on the canal that's used for a VRBO and it's a 1-bedroom and there's 20 people in there. So no matter what, it does work. Plus, you have 1-bedroom homes that have 10 people of several different families. I'm not sure that that's the perfect way either. I don't know if there is such thing as perfect. I just wanted to touch that because people have asked for that. I just don't know how to get them there, honestly.
So we do share information, and I went through some of that with the team. Belfair Waters provided us with information associated with the consumption for each one of our commercial utility or commercial customers up in Belfair. And so we actually did some calculations to see how it was. And I was surprised to see that we were actually utilizing those numbers to do some of those bills. So they were just paying for whatever water they were using.
Yes, that's the water I'm talking about. For the sewer, though, that's a little different. And one of the things I want to remind you, I've been here long enough, I can tell you that you have that information from Belfair Water now. You did not have it in the beginning. They were not sharing it, and they could change and not share it tomorrow. I'm not saying anything disparaging about Belfair Water. Any entity that is not ours can choose not to share that information. That's why I'm afraid just to use that information.
Well, I think that sounds like a good plan. I think we've got some information we'll get turned in for briefing on Monday. We can kind of wade through the muck and hopefully kind of narrow it down to what we want to present in the public hearing on the 7th.
All right. Anything further, Richard?
Just to kind of catch up with the speed, because I know I was a bit absent last week. Wednesday and Thursday, we had some major SCADA control issues at the Belfair treatment facility, and this is due to that when we had the freezing and the water pipes burst and filled our computers up. It's been limping along, but it was pretty much down Wednesday night. Not pretty much, it was down Wednesday night all day Thursday and into Thursday night until we got it heartbeat established again and started up. But it keeps me awake at night, and we do have this turned into insurance and FEMA. But I just wanting to let you know that I'm planning on spending no more than $200,000 on correcting this in an emergency situation. There's just no time to wait, really, because it's going to take weeks to get everything procured and programmed and tested out and authenticated and functional again.
Okay.
But just wanted to give you a heads up. We did get a bid on this when this first occurred, and I've been working with TJ. I did take it to the IT committee when it did happen, and yeah, so that's where we're at with that.
All right, commissioners, anything for Public Works?
Me.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. You filled in well. Mark, you're up.
Alrighty, Mr. Taylor, want to kick this off with EMPG award? John? I see you on there. There you are.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to advise you, we put in for a supplemental grant for EMPG Emergency Management Performance Grant 22. There was funds that were turned back in from jurisdictions throughout the state that didn't spend it. And we were awarded for CERT $19,016, which we're going to put into our CERT program as it continues to advance. Are there any questions?
Nope. Everybody's
All right,
on
that's
board.
all I had. Thank you.
All good. So TJ?
Morning, Commissioners. So for quite some time, we've been looking for a good computer management system that fits our needs. For the past 3 months, we've done some testing, some evaluation of different products, and we've settled on one named Ninja One. They are a US-based company. This gives us much more capability that we don't currently have and greater efficiency in IT. So it's $15,000 a year. We do have capacity for that in our budget, and we're just looking for approval to move forward.
Mr. Shooty.
Yep, I am supportive.
Okay.
I think IT steering committee was as well. So
That's why I called on you first. Commissioner Trask, you agree?
Oh, I agree, and I just love the name.
I too am on board. Thank you for stepping up on this. Thank you to the art committee for doing the work too.
Thank you.
What you got, Mark?
Alrighty, I'm gonna try something here. So bear with me for a second. I got an email from our neighbors over at the city of Shelton the other day, and Mr. Ziegler is trying to figure out how to best accommodate the evergreen treatment services that are being provided in front of Community Lifeline now. And so I'm going to share with you a map, I think. Can you see my map?
It's coming up. There it is.
Alrighty, so you see here this little red arrow.
Yep.
So currently they have a mobile van that comes and parks there, and they set up a little pup tent kind of back behind the mobile van. They run a small generator within their van to provide services to individuals from Community Lifeline as well as other individuals. It's kind of like, here's the spot you come to get some assistance. So providing it here is kind of a dangerous place. If you ever went and really looked at it or saw it, it encroaches into the street a little bit, and it's right out here in front of our sheriff's office parking lot. So obviously, if we have sheriffs having to respond to something, I always am concerned. They're super careful coming out of there, but always concerned about the congestion that can happen here. Mr. Ziegler contacted me last week and has instructed them to move it. And they want to move it right back here behind District Court building. So this is if you've been down Cedar Street here recently, it's kind of a rough road there. I mean, the county improved this crosswalk area here when we had to do some work on sidewalks and stuff around the facility. But they want to actually relocate it to here. I've contacted the individuals that would be impacted. So our courts, both district and superior court. I've contacted our juvenile services because obviously we have juvenile court that occurs in this building. So lots of people coming in and out of the basement of juvenile court. I've let Mark know I do have some concerns about that. It is a city right away, so we really don't have much control over it. My intent is to let the commissioners know that that this is going to be happening. And Kelly Frazier and I actually Kelly took me on a little tour around to show me some alternative locations. And one of the ones that I found that I want to give to Mark, if you guys are okay with that, is over here. This parcel is, can you see where I've highlighted it?
Yes.
So this parcel is actually owned by the city. It's over here by the Builder's Source or Builder's First.
Yep.
Sharon, is that the name of the business?
ProBuild.
And they have a staging area back here for a lot of the materials that they keep outside. So looking at that, I'm looking at it and saying, well, gosh, it's really about the same distance away from where they'd be moving it to back behind building 10. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to contact Mark and see if he would entertain this alternative location.
I would appreciate that, because I can see some definite issues with, I have seen the other location and seen how they're doing it. I don't see it as being bad where it's at, and it's next to the places that people are going to use the service. Putting it back behind our courthouse and in between our other county buildings, I can see that being more disruptive because you have people turning in and out of those. Where it isn't as big a deal where they're parking it right between the driveways on the other here.
Well, the where it's currently located is more of a residential area.
Yes.
And I think that's what the city is concerned about, is it sitting in a residential area. And so they were looking for alternatives that wouldn't be as residential. Now, granted, it's only 2 blocks away, but it's not as residential back behind building 10.
But that's also where the services are, right? It's providing services to people that are right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's those individuals. And then there's quite a few individuals that come in from around our community to receive those services.
Okay. And if that doesn't work out, you know where the rectory is there. What about the parking up in that area?
So I believe that you're talking about this area here.
Yes, across the street.
So they actually asked about that before, and they're there on a daily basis. They have quite a bit of space that they take up. So this is predominantly used by our sheriff's office for their parking, and then this is by staff in.
I meant by the road.
Oh, this here?
Yeah. You don't have near the traffic coming in and out on any of those businesses and stuff.
But I believe that this area here is somewhat residential.
I think that's actually zoned commercial.
Yeah, but I do believe that there are people that live there.
I thought they sold that as commercial.
It's possible, but I know that I see vehicles there and it doesn't look too commercial to me. It could be, but I do think that there's somebody in there. The one on Front Street too, we've got camps all over the place. And
yeah, a lot of individuals probably walk to this location from
right
Highway
there.
3. Yeah.
Now,
Right.
I want to make clear, I'm not saying instead of front. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if they don't want to use front, instead of the Cedar Street location between our office buildings and our courthouse, and walking our juvenile and everything else through there, that doesn't seem realistic to me. So I would rather use the parking up by the jail or on the street by the jail than that one. I think Front Street is a much better option than all of them.
Yeah, I was going to talk to Mark about that a little bit, just because the back of building 10 here is where a lot of our staff actually enter. So our judges, that are walking down from the courthouse, walk down and enter the building back here. Staff enter the building back here. And my concern is with a bunch of congestion there, that might disrupt them coming in and going out of the building,
Yeah,
as
and
well
also,
as the juvenile.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the citizens that use that outside the parking area across the street and the things they do there, is that
Right, we have WSU right across the street.
Yeah.
I worry about our people. I want to make sure that we're keeping them safe, as well as all the residents around here. So Front Street seems to me to be the best spot for it. I mean, it's an empty lot, and that we got to do something.
Okay, I will talk to Mark and I'll keep you guys updated on how those discussions go.
Okay.
When Kelly and I were driving around looking at different places on Friday, they did have a sign up at the location here notifying their customers that they were going to be moving. And I believe they're moving from the sign. I thought it said the week of May 6th. So yeah.
So we gotta hurry.
Yep. Yep. Gotta hurry. But definitely did want the staff and our judges to understand that we are communicating with the city and trying to find alternative locations.
What else you got, Mark?
That's all I had for you.
Okay, commissioners, you have anything for Mark?
I do
All
not-
right, do we have anything for commissioner discussion?
Me.
How about calendars?
Oof, no. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in Bellingham Wednesday through Friday. So if anyone wants to reach me, email me or call my cell phone.
How about a motion?
Mr. Chair, move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Hearing no objection, we've been moving second for adjournment. No objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Everybody.